This is Drink Talk, where we try to solve the world's problems one drink at a time. Each episode in this podcast, we talk about the topics of yesterday, today, and tomorrow while reviewing and enjoying beer, spirits, and wine from around the world and crafted locally. So grab your drink, raise your glass, and join us. We are your hosts, Brian and Britt. Cheers.
Check us out.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another great podcast of Drink Talk. We are here downtown Omaha at Berry and Rye. We're sitting here with Ethan, Luke, and Brad. Ethan, why don't you start us off? How did I get to be sitting here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us on. So the Berry and Rye was a craft cocktail bar that we started about going on 6 years now, I believe. It's been about 5.5 to 6 years now. And actually, Luke was one of the original people that helped me build this bar and create this concept back when we started the whole program. And he's been back here now for probably about 4 or 5 months, I believe, kind of revamping it after taking a hiatus for about a year. But Berry and Rye is a craft cocktail bar in the old market that basically used to be a seating room only, but now we've opened it up a little bit with a refresh we did in February.
Yeah, some of the people can actually see here these purple couches that are in this back corner, and I was here prior to you guys having this in here, and it seemed like kind of a cramped space, but now it seems wide open.
Yeah, and by design, we first set out to do this bar. It was coming off of another bar that I had down the street, House of Loom, which was a dance club that was focused on doing cultural events, but also did craft cocktails, and there was only a certain level of execution that we could do based on the amount of people that would come through there and the waves of events. And so through that, there became this desire to create a space that just solely focused on what we can do just purely by cocktail and by what we can produce in a drink. And so that was the forward mission that we started with. And so back then, 5.5 years ago, early on in the craft culture of cocktails, that was the norm, to create a really cramped, seated place where you just sat around your drink, and that was kind of your form of entertainment. Everybody just really focused on what was right in front of them.
Sure.
So after doing that for a while, and it was great, we had a great time doing it, it just started becoming apparent that the cocktail culture had been changing. Maybe I was changing, the staff was changing. It felt like we needed to not only give it a refresher and just kind of appearances and look and feel, but also how people interact with the space and what they do when they're here. And I think there's still a gap in terms of people that are starting to get into their 30s or into their 40s, and if you want to have good spirits but still want to go and mingle and meet with some people and interact with people and just have kind of a bar scene, you shouldn't have to sacrifice some of the quality of spirits that they offer or the knowledge of the staff. And so
speaking of spirits, I think we need a cocktail.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's the whole premise of this darn show.
It's not for you.
You're gonna.
We want a cocktail, or we want to drink some whiskey first?
Oh, it's totally up to you, Luke.
Well, I think we'll start with a little whiskey.
Yeah. Tell us what we're drinking on here.
We're gonna drink some Van Winkle 12-year.
Which is, I hear, hard to come by.
Yeah, we get about one bottle a year.
We say that just for you.
I appreciate that.
Well, I used to, before I came up here to work at the Berry and Rye with Ethan, I ran a music venue that was called the Bourbon Theater down in Lincoln. And the owner there was like a little ahead of his time on the whiskey craze and whatnot, and was just like, if it's American whiskey, get it. And if it's some other kind of whiskey and you think you could sell it, get it. And man, things were so much easier back then. We get quite a few bottles of this a year. And so many things now that are really hard to get. I remember when we used to just order it and it would show up. So we don't often get to sample this as much as we used to, but hey, in these trying times, I think we all deserve a little bit of something nicer,
Right?
It's not doing any good on the shelf right
now. So for those folks out there that don't know what's going on, unfortunately, you can't come to this place right now. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. All right. So just a heads up, don't come down here right now because fortunately they're closed. But hey, thanks for opening up for me.
Yep. So to wrap that up, put a bow on that. It's fine, fantastic.
Oh, that is smooth. I've only had Pappy Van Winkle once, and I don't think the bottle looks so different than this. It actually had like a label of him on it.
It was probably the
Okay,
10.
so they're called. So there's Van Winkle, Old Rip Van Winkle, and then the Pappy Van Winkles. The Pappies are the 15, the 20, and the 23. The other two are 10 and 12 years old, respectively. We're drinking the 12-year-old, and from having drank all of them,
It's my favorite one.
I think the 15 is my favorite, but the 12 is like right behind there.
Yeah.
I would drink either one of those before I drink the 20 or the 23, honestly.
This is utterly smooth and great. So thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, we've talked to Ethan, we've talked to Luth. Brad, you're not here. So you guys work here or have this place, but Brad, you're from somewhere else.
Yeah, so I'm the general manager of Colonia Rum Club. We're one of the other locations with Maven Social. So
Isn't that right across the street?
just catty corner,
There you go.
right underneath wheat fields there.
Perfect.
And while I may not be here at Berry and Rye, I have to see these guys just about every day anyway, so it works out.
Ethan, give me a rundown of how you guys came up with the concept of this place. I mean, just looking around this, the artwork alone is pretty crazy in here.
Yeah, sure. So after we ran the original Berry and Rye concept and started seeing a need of just a little more less distancing, which sounds crazy right now, but getting people into a space that were able to interact a little bit more, but still deliver a service of cocktails and deliver a service and spirits that we want to do. We decided to open everything up. We actually ripped out a giant brick safe that was in that area. A lot of people don't realize this, but most old market businesses have an old safe in them. That's where they used to store all the money before banks were as prevalent they are now. So we, brick by brick, had that pulled out, redid the floors, opened up the gates, and then put this new seating system in. And the whole premise around that was, let's create a cocktail space where people may sit just a couple or four people together, but they're going to be closer to other folks and more interactive, and just let the place be just a little freer, a little looser.
Sure.
Still take everything we do behind the bar very seriously, but loosen up everything we do on this side of it. And it was just kind of the times of the cocktail industry at the time, and frankly what I thought was more interesting and more fun for going to a bar. So we gutted the whole place out and remodeled it on the 5-year mark. I mean, the place is doing fine. We didn't need to do it, but it just seemed like the right thing to do, and just give it a fresh coat of paint and a lot more color and a lot more pop. And I was getting kind of tired of the Edison Bulb and Barnwood cocktail bar concept that had kind of run its course. So we splashed it with a lot of color and a lot of cushion, a lot of velvet, and then set these guys loose on what they can do behind the bar in terms of cocktails, and they've kind of expanded that program a little bit, limited the amount of drinks that we have. Instead of having 30 or 50 drinks, we cut that down, but then put a lot more attention into each one of them. And then we're able to expand our spirit selection as well. We added a ton more shelving, a lot more ladder systems in. So I think we probably tripled the amount of bottles that we can have on the shelves at any given time.
Yeah.
So
So I was noticing that, and one of the first things you see when you walk in here is it's pretty daunting, the amount of alcohol that you guys have spanning to the essentially ceiling that's in here.
Sure.
And before you had some artwork on the back wall, you've gotten rid of that, and absolutely, you can see it in the shot. You guys have created a secondary bar, essentially, kind of back there.
Yep.
I mean, you don't serve from that; you serve from this bar, but that's cool that you've expanded that, and I really like the lighting on the shelves. It really displays your guys' bottles. What would you say would be an accurate kind of count to as many type of?
no, I'd have to pass it to Luke.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think
lot.
it's probably somewhere around 300, maybe to 400 bottles, somewhere in
Wow. So if someone was trying to come in here to find something very unique, they'd probably find it.
there. Oh yeah, definitely. We always try and take somebody in a new direction. I mean, if you come in and what you want is not what's on the menu, or you just specifically know what you want, that's great. We'll always get it for you, provided we have it.
Gotcha.
But that said, we're always we're always trying to take people a little bit outside of their comfort zone and make them happy that they went there. That's a big focus of things here, is trying to get people to experiencing something new. But if you're not making them happy by doing that, then you're not doing it right, you know? So it's kind of a little bit, you know, you need to learn how to read people and then, you know, establish a conversation. Maybe the time to take them out of their comfort zone is on their second or third drink.
Sure.
Maybe sometimes it's never. I mean, you can kind of see certain people that are just, you know, no, I want this, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to get you that because that's what's going to make you the most happy right now.
Right.
People ask me all the time, they say, they also come in because they don't know what they want because there's so many different options. And they always say to me things like, well, what do you recommend? Or what drink is your favorite drink to make? And my response is always, my favorite drink to make is the one that makes you the happiest.
Hey.
Because everybody has different tastes.
Hey.
Everybody has different tastes. And at the end of the day, you're going to drink it, not me. So
Right. So that same question, what is your most favorite cocktail to make?
literally, honestly, it's
Besides the whole what I want.
It's that's it. That's the interaction. Is like, that's what I really like in this business, is the interaction between me and a guest. And it doesn't matter what kind of bartending we're doing, what style we're doing. Like, I mean, you could send me a night down to Colonia where the program is way different. It's way more like party Tiki, or you could throw me into a dive bar for a night, whatever. As long as I'm like talking to people and making people have a good time and forget about whatever's going on out there, that's what makes me the happiest. That and just like, I love getting just inconveniently busy. Like, I just love getting crushed behind the bar. There's like an endorphin rush that comes from that, from like working hard. And I don't know, I have lots of different things that I could probably do to make money, but I've always kind of stuck for the last 18 years. This is pretty much all I've done because I love it.
Enjoy doing it.
I love
Yeah.
it. Like, I'm never like, oh darn, I have to go to work. You know, like, I mean, I'm always. I mean, that's. Sometimes people are like, Luke, you're at work too much, and I'm like, well,
It's because I like working.
it's because I like what I'm doing. You know.
On the customer side, I mean, that's pretty consistent across the board from all of our places. I mean, there's a handful of really talented cocktail folks at other cocktail bars now, but still
Can you elaborate on that, on all your places that you have?
Well, even just outside of the Maven Social family, there's a good handful of really talented cocktailers at other places, but still we have all these folks that come in that are looking at a menu and they're looking at a ton of ingredients that they probably don't know or barely heard of, and they're looking at a wall like this and they don't know where to start. And so that's why they're coming at you with that question, because they're like, I want to jump into this, but I'm gonna need a little bit of help, and they're asking, just going, how do I go about that? And so, and that's taken years for industry as a whole in Omaha to really kind of embrace, and how to jump on and kind of lead people through that in a non-assertive way that makes people feel comfortable about it. But I mean, it's a concept where we're kind of walking people through into things that they haven't tried before, and they're getting out of the vodka sodas or their typical rum and cokes, and just trying different things out. So
What do we got there?
it's just water.
This is water.
Oh.
Yeah, so just typically we always, anytime we serve a single malt, or even I like it in rum as well, it's I guess you can liken it to just swirling a wine to aerate it and add some air to it. But in whiskey, just adding just a little bit of water, especially with single malt for me, it'll rise that alcohol to the top, and it'll just add, you'll get a lot more deeper into the flavor of it. And you take a sip of a good fine spirit once and then put a drop on it after, you can completely tell a different flavor profile from just adding that one drop of water.
Sure.
So the dropper just gives the control to the customer, and they can kind of choose their own path on how much they want in there.
Nice.
I'll do it with anything that's been aged in oak. So like, I've had, anytime a spirit just tastes like too tight, like there should be more going on there for the smell and the taste, just a tiny bit of water will help break things out, break out smells that'll come out of the spirit that way. So I remember one time we were at a dinner across the street at V-Mertz, and we had this 21-year Armagnac, and I was like, man, why isn't this living up to my expectations? And I thought, I'd previously only ever thought of it with whiskey, and then I was like, well, it's aged in oak, dummy. Put a little bit of water in there, put a couple drops in, and boom. So
Brad, let's get over to you and get you on the mic for a little while. Why are you here? I mean, how did you come to be here at, I know you know these guys and probably work with these guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess just my involvement with Maven Social, I got a little lucky, I guess, maybe. The previous, or the original general manager of La Colonia when we first opened, his name's Alex. I'd worked with him in another bar called Jake's.
Yeah.
And I just had a day, just ran into him, and I was just like, hey, man, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm working at this Tiki bar. And I was like, oh, you're there? Like, hey, I would love to be involved. And this was months after I'd actually already interviewed to be a part of it. And so later that night, Alex ended up calling me. It's just like, hey, you want to start tomorrow at like 10? Help with building it? I'm like, hell yeah.
It opened a little delayed.
So, yeah, showed up. And been there since. A few months after and I took over the program, and we've just been trucking along since. And yeah, it's funny because the three of us, aside from working for Maven Social, Ethan owning Maven Social, we are on a bowling team on Monday nights, and we are on our second year of that right now. So
the Mavens. We're in a cool fourth to last place.
So, like the reason he's here, sort of, in a lot of ways, not sort of, but yeah, La Colonia is a completely different atmosphere of a bar from Berry and Rye, different from Alice or Wicked Rabbit or any of the other concepts, but we don't really think of ourselves as working at different places, We all work together. I got his back for anything he needs. He's got my back for anything I need, and honestly, the two of us, because we're so do the whole finish of the bars in there and things like that. And I remember saying, like, when it seemed like maybe Alex, who's a good friend of mine, love you, Alex, if you're out there listening, when it seemed like he was going to do another project, and they were looking at maybe who did, and I was like, I put in a good word for Bradley. I said this guy eats, sleeps, and breathes Tiki. I'm pretty sure when he's asleep, he's dreaming about it. Like, this is the guy. This is your guy.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd agree with Luke on that. There is a sense of, we have a number of locations that are close together and now some out west. And it is nice that we can borrow paper towels and sugar and straws and stuff like that from each other. But additionally, though, now that we have such a large talent pool, we've got 100 employees across the board from all the locations, but then all of our managers and AGMs. Our communication channels that are set up for those folks, they're starting to take it upon themselves to interact and learn and post challenges that they're having. I mean, running a bar is difficult. Running teams is even far more difficult, and a lot of folks don't have a lot of experience with running teams and being managers across the country and industry, not just in the bar industry. But it's been helpful, and it's been really, really fun to see that just start and explode into a network of support and education that they're doing internally on an ongoing basis without even knowing they're doing it, on how to deal with certain situations and what we should do as a group and as a culture and as a company. And so that's been just kind of more exploding over the last couple of years, because Maven Social on paper is only 3 years old maybe, but even my first bar was 7 years ago, so all those locations opened up just within that short period of time. So it's all very new.
What was your first bar?
House of Loom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Down on 10th Street.
Yep, 10th and Pacific. House of Loom was a culture-forward dance club. It was an art-centric music venue that just focused on all events of all walks from all over the board. We could do a whole podcast on just the weird stuff that came out of that place. But
we're actually at like the 7-year mark, like right about exactly now here.
Probably about right. Oh, here? Is that
Yeah.
right? So House of Loom is probably 8 then. So about a year into House of Loom, I purchased Myth, which was a martini bar that was.
I remember when it was Myth.
From the Mearsons, and converted to the Berry and Rye, and brought Luke and Brock in from Lincoln from the Bourbon Street, came up to help me open that up, and then from that we just kept on kind of going. A business a year is pretty much the tick that we ran on. 1 year to 1 year off, but basically business a year since then. So.
I was at home talking with my wife, and I was telling her I was coming down to Berry and Rye, and she's like, I don't think I've ever been there. And so I showed her the pictures of the inside, and she goes, oh, that's the old Myth. And I go, I do believe so.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
was pretty cool that you guys have taken that over and then grown this, and it's amazing to see what changes this place has gone through.
Yeah, thank you.
You want to pop onto the maybe next cocktail?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe mix one up for the people at home. You guys went all
Yeah,
out.
give me
You
a sec.
guys got a lot of fresh stuff going on.
I mean, this every day here. So, yeah, give me a second.
Actually,
I gotta.
this is probably not every day
It's
since we're
probably
half
running,
shut
running
down.
slim, really, to be honest. Yeah, give me a second. I gotta grab some things. I'm gonna take this.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I'll continue on that.
Yeah.
So, after about a year and a half into House of Loom, maybe a year into House of Loom, the Berry and Rye opened as basically the first craft cocktail bar in Omaha that didn't have any food. Boiler Room was absolutely the first, followed by House of Loom, and then the Berry and Rye, and then it just kind of exploded from there.
so you were part of the boiler room too.
No. I just was a fan.
Gotcha.
And roommates of Paul Kulik at the time, or
Which
somewhere
we had
around that
Paul on the
time.
show on Tuesday.
Yep. Dear friend and business partner now as well. And I believe after Berry and Rye opened, I think the next was the hair salon. I bought a hair salon that was going out of business upstairs, converted that, and then after that, I believe it was No, I think it was Wicked Rabbit. So Wicked Rabbit we opened. I think it's going on. It should be about 4 years now. For whatever reason, I opened 3 bars on Halloween weekend 3 years in a row. Non-intentionally, you can't
That's
plan
great.
an opening, it just kind of the way it went. But Wicked Rabbit came to be, and that just exploded. That thing's been just a massive success for us and a very popular place, and you know, definitely a great place to go check out. Right after that, La Colonia opened up, which is a 4,800 square foot tiki bar, head to toe thematic. We're still working on that one every day. We've got a ton of plans for the future of that place. Some we'll be implementing very soon with the kitchen and the underground patio space we have. Brad's done an incredible job building a culture over there that just it's like the poster child of cultures and how to create team unity around that. And he's been super successful in that and very mission driven, which has been super fun to watch. And then Via Farina came after that, which is our pizza pasta restaurant over on 10th and Pacific, which Paul briefly mentioned on yours as well. We have
Yeah.
a wood-fired oven, hand-stretched pizzas, very authentic kind of limited menu kind of Italian cuisine, very Italian cuisine. And then Monarch was a project I did for the hotel that continues in the same line of the Wicked Rabbit brand. So
Hotel Deco.
Hotel Deco, yep.
That's right.
So reformatted the whole ground level of the hotel, flipped the restaurant space to the event space, combined it to the lobby bar, and Monarch's name came from, and Monarch's design as well came from Wicked Rabbit. So that was a brand that was successful in the space, and it seemed like a good idea to continue that. So Monarch is our red queen of that story. So Looking Glass and Liquor Store, Wicked Rabbit, and then Monarch. And then Alice, of course, we just opened out west, which is a continuation of that same partnership. That same brand.
And Alice Out West was the old Upstream. Is that correct?
It's in the building of the old Upstream. It's in the lower level. Jams took over the restaurant on the first level.
That's right.
We took over a portion of the lower level, which we're actually leasing another portion now to start a commercial ice program. We'll kick back off as soon as the world goes back together. And then right after that, Barnado opened as well, which is a music venue, cocktail lounge that's in Village Point. So, am I missing anybody? That's everybody. 5 bars, 1 restaurant, Monarch.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got your hands in a lot of different businesses out there,
Yes,
which is great.
but yeah. So, in any event, Luke.
Yeah. What do we got here?
All right. Well, we're gonna make a cocktail that's actually probably coming off the menu here pretty soon. But you'll get it by the name. It's called the Autumn Smoke. So we got to come up with something for spring. Obviously, we're a little delayed because of all this, you know. We change the menu here by a few cocktails almost every week. And so this one's been really popular. So if I do keep it on, I got to come up with a new name. I think probably we'll just make a new cocktail and bring this one back in the fall because it's been pretty popular. So we've got a ball of ice here. We're going to express a little lemon peel over that. This is really an old-fashioned, like sort of a fancied up old-fashioned, if you will, made with a Laird's 7.5-year apple brandy, which is one of the oldest oldest spirits in America. I believe it's the oldest licensed distillery in North America. I really, really love this stuff. I like all their expressions, but the 7.5 year is probably my favorite. I think it's one of the most well-rounded of all their spirits, although I really, really, really love the cask strength they just came out with. That would be a bit much in a cocktail, because it's proofy. So we're gonna smoke this cocktail.
I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, this. Oh, well, I bought 2 bottles. One went home with me, and one's up there. So we're doing a layered 7.5 year. Then we're gonna do a little bit of maple syrup, and then we're gonna add some cinnamon and clove bitters, which we make in house here. We've made those since day one. Be surprised how many things cinnamon and clove goes with. Just a little bit of maple syrup, not too much. Just a couple of dashes of those. And we used to do a cocktail here that we've done a few cocktails here where they use this device called a smoking gun. And though I think those devices are great, I think a lot of times you end up with like kind of a tar taste in them after a while, and parts of it that you can't clean. And so I was thinking about like, how do we get around that? How do we get like a more fresh smoke taste in there? So I came up with this alternative sort of way to do it. I think it's a little more fun. When it's not super busy, I like to do this at the table. I always do it for people at the bar. Show here and smoke like burnt cinnamon. If you've never smelled burnt cinnamon, it smells pretty good.
Oh, nice.
And then it just kind of fills up with smoke. Alcohol actually absorbs smoke really, really fast. Smoky flavors will if I let that sit there for 2 minutes, all the smoke will disappear. And where it went is into the alcohol. So I always tell people you don't want to let that sit for too long. Usually about 30, 45 seconds, somewhere in there is about right. So just a little bit more. I'm going to swirl it around. You can already see it starting to dissipate in there.
I see that.
Because it's just eating it up, you know? It's basically a smoked apple brandy old fashioned there. It's a little interactive. The guests usually get to pour it, not me. But you know, you get to light something on fire for somebody. People always like that. It's always fun. All right. That's it. Cheers.
Perfect. Yeah.
Now, normally that's how I'd normally serve it. You want
Exactly.
me to split this up for
Yeah,
all of us?
absolutely. Everybody should be drinking on the show here, if we could.
I'll get that stirred up there. We'll get it integrated.
So, kind of getting back into, the industry that you're dealing with right now with all these bars and restaurants and dealing with COVID-19 right now and or whatever they want to call this. I mean, it's directly affected you, I'm sure.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's only directly affected people in the bar and restaurant world.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'm in the entertainer industry, and
Events.
Of course.
Events have shut down.
Yeah.
That the first to shut down, as a matter of fact, but even talking to food purveyors, people we buy a lot of food from. For a food drive we're working on, I can talk about that as well. So but they've stopped purchasing from all of their producers and the farmers. So it's gone through everybody. So I haven't really been focusing on so much the impact it's making on us, just because I know that it's everywhere. But it's pretty surreal, definitely shutting everything down after operating day in, day out, holidays, etc., just constantly, and then all of a sudden just going to nothing. And especially when you really start ramping up, and the position we were in where we've hit a lot of milestones in a lot of places, and we're just starting to really get some awesome runway, and then all of a sudden just boom, it just kind of all, and it was a week. We started talking about it, and then a week later it was boom. So, but for the most part, honestly, we had so many people we had to give different messages to, but people have been really, really taking it well. And even in our company-wide group chats, they're still communicating and sharing all kinds of just goofy things that people are doing. Management teams have been just jumping in about anything they can possibly do to salvage any portion of it and keep themselves busy and support everybody else, and that's been pretty significant. So I'm just kind of trying to focus on the good that we've been seeing out of it, look at what we can do when we do get some relief funds, in addition to getting ourselves caught back up and
Right.
making employees
I
flush.
mean, I have been watching the news, and they're trying to pass the small business loan to small businesses to, make sure that you guys are taken care of, as well as taking care of the people that are in our types of industry, so that we can stay on our
Yeah.
feet. So hopefully something happens down the pipeline
It's absolutely necessary.
for something to happen,
Cheers.
rather than keeping us closed. So cheers, gentlemen.
Air cheers.
Air cheers. Well,
I even see you snuck over and got that.
oh,
That's Brad grabbed it off the shelf. It's actually
I'm Spider-Man.
It's pretty dynamite.
Spider Brad.
this is awesome. I can taste the smokiness in it. Apples, absolutely can taste
Oh,
that
for sure.
flavor in there. This is great. Nice job. And you created this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most far out thing we've ever done, but it's sometimes little tweaks on something simple like an old fashioned is all you need.
Yeah.
And just a little on Berry and Rye. So all the bars have their focus points. They're all just a little bit different, even though it might not seem like we all serve cocktails. But Berry and Rye, from the get-go, when we set out to create it, we're just like, what is the best way to do this? What is the best way to do that? Is water service require RO systems, and is ice going to require this, and is this going to need this, and how can we make our lives the hardest possible in terms of setting this place up, cooking and producing the amount of drinks that are at the amount of seats that are in this place. And that's always been the goal, is to do original cocktail menu, and just take every ingredient and every process and just do it as much as we know to be the best that we can, provided the resources that we have. And so it's a lot different than some of our other locations in terms of what their focus is, but this bar has kept up for that for, like Luke said, almost 7 years.
Well, I think also, it's not that I think every bar, every reputable establishment is always seeking to deliver the highest quality thing they can.
Yeah.
So that's not, it's what we're doing here is not, we're obviously doing that, but I think everybody else is too. But I think kind of to hone in a little bit more what Ethan's talking about is like, when he says, is this the best way to do this? It's not just quality. It's like, what's the best way to deliver flavor, So, for instance, like, we'll just take example of figs, all right? So I always wanted to do figs in cocktails. It's a good flavor. You can infuse a spirit with some figs, and it'll taste pretty figgy, but then when you put it into a cocktail with other ingredients, it just kind of disappears. And so I kept for years and years trying to figure that one out. And then I went to a bar in Cleveland, I think it was called the Velvet Tango Room, and they had a fig cocktail there that was pretty good. And what they had done is they had taken a lot of oranges and figs and made a shrub. Shrub is like sugar, fruit, and vinegar. Now,
Not like off of In Search of the Holy Grail. Bring me another shrubbery.
no,
No, not one of those.
A shrub is an old-timey way to preserve fruit. If you had a bumper crop of fruit, you could put it with sugar. The sugar will take the liquid out of the fruit, and then you can mix that with vinegar, and it'll stay around for a long time.
Gotcha.
And so, you've seen quite a lot of that in craft cocktail bars in the last, 10 years or so. But the fig flavor really came through. And then I went somewhere else, down to the other room, and they had a cocktail called Figgy Smalls. And it was also a shrub. Now, although I like shrubs, and I know a lot of people do, I think that, like, we're watching from experience here, like, trying to take people outside of their comfort zone a lot of times, is people, don't know what a shrub is, and they didn't get a chance to ask that question. They order it, and it comes smelling like vinegar. So you gotta do something creative to, like, kind of cover up that vinegar, or, shrubs are difficult. It's a hard sell to do exactly right. It's not, because it's not food. If we were in, like, a restaurant environment, vinegar everywhere. But
Sure.
But then it occurred to me like, well, wait, maybe the taste of fig is acid soluble. So you can't keep lemon and lime juice around indefinitely. Like it'd go bad if, like a day. So we took citric acid, mixed that with water, and pressure infused that with figs, and then pressure infused the whiskey with figs. And that finally got me to the level of fig that I wanted to be at. And so it's like, that is an incredible amount of work to go to for one cocktail, you know? Like, I got people
Sure.
like infusing all these different infusers under pressure and releasing the pressure and straining all the fig out of it and then mixing it all together, you know? But that's the best way to get
The level of fig that he was.
the level of fig that we were.
going
So
for.
that's
exactly what I was talking
that's
about.
what I'm trying to say is we'll go to like, you know, we'll use weird acid solutions, we use all kinds of weird ingredients and things. So it's not just that we're focused on quality, because I think everybody is. What
I agree.
we're focused on is how to, no matter what lengths we have to go to what lengths will we go to try and deliver this flavor. And I mean, I got so many things stuck in the back burner that I'm like, not practical, super cool, but not practical. Maybe we'll save it for a special event, or maybe something I'll have an aha moment like 4 years from now and be like, oh, hey, we can do that now, you know?
And you don't have a whole lot of room behind the bar either.
We have an extra. We have a quite sizable room in the basement of here.
Oh, nice.
Where we do, I would say probably 95% of our prep work.
Yeah,
And,
the laboratory basically is right below us. All the ice programs down there, and all the cooking materials are down there, and backstock and ingredients.
It's great that you have that space and available to have that. So I never even told people where this place is at. If they don't know where this is at, we're down here in the old market. This is Howard Street.
Yep, 1105.
1105 Howard Street.
Yep.
1105 Howard Street. So you guys are, I think Spaghetti Works is right here, and you guys are just kind of right behind Spaghetti Works.
So they're,
Pizza and spaghetti, right between.
yeah, so if the only two doors you can go into between Spaghetti Works and Zio's Pizza, that's where we're at.
Okay.
But it's a little confusing because in those two doors, within the same, so the interior of this space is kind of gated off. There's gates that lead into different.
And what's that all about? Those gates always
well,
been
so-
here?
That's a good question. Don't know.
Yeah.
However, there's a dentist office through these same doors. There's a hair salon, the Copper Pin, right upstairs. So sometimes the people will be like, "Oh, I can see the dentist. I can see the Old Market Dental, or I can see the Copper Pin. Where are you?" And it's like same doors.
Yeah,
Yep.
this space actually used to be a art frame shop, which I believe the Muirsons ran as well, because we found a ton of frame equipment down in our now laboratory. But the gate used to go across that way. It was much smaller. And when I first moved to Omaha, I was trolling around the old market around 1998, 1999. There was tons of art that were just out of the sidewalk all over there. And the Muirsons ran an art print shop out of this space and on the sidewalk. And then one day they decided that to turn into a martini bar, which became Myth. And so I think that was about five-year bar or something like that.
Yeah,
So-
when you said that there was a big giant safe here with the wrought iron and all that stuff, it kind of reminds me of a bank. you
Yeah,
know?
well, the safes weren't for banks. The safes were for individual businesses.
Sure.
So each business in the old market, at some point, they have torn out a giant bricked area with a big, heavy safe door, because that's where people used to store all their money.
So was that the hardest part moving into this space, was trying to get that out of there, or did you run into something a lot more difficult?
No, that's new. We took the safe out, purposed the gates, remodeled everything in February. The whole month of
Oh,
February
wow.
we were closed. So that's all new. That safe was there. That was our liquor storage, basically for,
So you're telling me not a whole lot of people have probably experienced what you guys have done so far?
not unless they came before
Yeah.
February. Yep, that's right.
That
yeah.
small
So-
little time frame.
Yep. So we were closed for about 5 weeks. Oh, our pies are here.
There it is.
About 5 weeks. We closed the doors down. The company we hired did a fantastic job. They banged it out. We opened right day after St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, it was a total remodel job, head to toe. Hang on one second. Hunter, come over here. Hunter's one of our guys at Via Farina. I just order pizzas from Via Farina for everybody. So
Hey,
oh, it goes.
there you go.
All right, so-
Smart man.
Via Farina's a pizza pasta restaurant down the street. So
Yeah, go check it out down on 10th Street.
Thank you.
thanks, bud.
No, thank you.
So I don't know if it's attractive to eat on camera, but here's a bunch of pies.
Yeah, no,
I'm sure you guys are hungry.
we'll take this for a few, maybe 10 minutes or so longer, and we'll go
You got it.
dive into it. So what was your biggest headache, biggest problem opening this place or opening any one of your places? What is been your biggest struggle so far?
I don't know if I could say there was the biggest struggle for opening any one place. I guess I could say if anybody's really curious about opening a bar or they can relate to doing it, when you start out to do it, you're basically just signing on for the fact that every day that you wake up, everything that you have planned is going to go a different direction. Everything you have in mind is going to be turned down and told no to from the city, from contractors, from every just aspect of the people around you to just the whole thing. There's been some smooth ones, but smooth in my mind is still comes with a whole suite of problems and challenges. So, but I think the people that do this just are kind of okay with that, and they're comfortable with leaning into those kinds of challenges, and they're not turned off by amounts of risk and stress. So it's not abnormal to just jump into that and just wake up and say, okay, what do you got for me? What do I need to overcome? So I mean, they have their own challenges across the board. And then when you get open, when you go through all that mayhem of getting the finances, getting the contractors, and dealing with all the crap that you have to deal with, then you're open, and then the real work starts, right? And unless you have really solid people around you, you're not going to. Unless you're going to do it yourself every single day and every day out, but you can only do that in one location.
Sure.
So you got to surround yourself with people that have a lot of skills that you don't have, people that balance you out in other aspects, and that's the only way that I have found that I can do what I do. So I guess to answer your question is there's no single problem. There's just a host of issues that are just come with the job.
Being as though you've got lots of multiple locations, not multiple locations of Berry and Rye, but you have a lot of different places, which we've talked about here on the show. What was probably one of the funnest places that you decided to open? And I mean, you don't have to say it's Berry and Rye, but
No, I don't have a favorite. People ask me that all the time. My favorite is the one that's making the most money with less headache at that time, and that's that's a rotating thing. And that's not even true. But every project that I've ever sought out to do. And my wife as well, because she's very much ingrained in everything that we do, and the most important thing to make it run, but is we set out to create something that we feel that we're passionate about, that there's some sort of need for.
Sure.
Because we enjoy it, we've wanted it, and so I'm selfish enough to know I live my life and I design it the way I want to live it. If there's something that I wish that there was around me that we don't have, then I build it. So that's kind of how a lot of things start. And so we just create a lot of concepts that we're passionate about, that we think are great, and then we just really hope that other people do too. But there's no marketing strategy ahead of time in that.
One of my favorite questions I've ever heard anybody ask, Ethan, is we had a whole group of people in here touring through Omaha. And one of them, they said, he was describing this place and some of the other places we do and things like that. And they were like, so why Omaha? Because you could tell they didn't expect it to be here. They were from somewhere else and they didn't expect the level of things that they were seeing to be seen here. So they automatically were like, why would he do it here? And they were like, why would you do it in Omaha? And his response was, I live here.
Oh,
and then just moved right along, like.
Well, and just in the past few years, we've seen a whole lot of these niche craft cocktail bars pop up, you guys being one of them, and it is something that people go, oh, I didn't realize that there was a bar or an establishment of this nature that would take that much pride in making just you making that one cocktail there and smoking it and using the proper tools to make it. It's pretty awesome to see, when it takes you more than just a solid 10 seconds to make a drink.
Well, we do a lot of things to try and make things go faster. I didn't figure we were on a
we weren't on a time crunch.
We were on a time crunch there.
No. But it shows that
I don't think it's critiquing you on that.
No.
If you wanted to talk to one of the managers, we're right here. So.
I'm going to say let's get into closing comments. We'll take this around the table. I'll start, and then we'll just pass it around the way here.
I think we should let Brad. Brad, make us a daiquiri.
Yeah, make a daiquiri.
Make some
Oh,
snacks.
do you want more drink? Absolutely.
I do want to step.
Please and thank you.
I guess just real quick touch on what you just said. During the week, especially in the old market, 50 to 60, sometimes 75% of our business is people from out of town.
Yes.
There's so many different conventions and meetings and stuff that happen in Omaha from people all over the country, sometimes all over the world. And it's always my favorite thing is when people come in and they, especially down to La Colonia, they're like, whoa, why? This is in Omaha? I'm like, yeah, man, this is where you need it. We don't have a beach. Like, we don't have, you can't go look at the ocean. Why don't you drink some cocktails and make you feel like you're on it,
We don't coast is their motto or something.
Yeah, my folks live in Vegas, and my dad took me to a bar called Frankie's Tiki Lounge, which this is probably maybe 3 years ago maybe, and it's a modern tiki bar, even though it's been there for quite some time. This bar is open for 24 hours a day, which blows me away, because if you know anything about how hard bars are in terms of when you clean, when you repair, this bar never shuts down, because people come in there, the industry people get off, they come in, and it's like a ska brothers lounge style jukebox. Terrible drinks, but just over the top decor. And I love the bar. And I came back and started talking about what it would look like in Omaha if we did a tiki bar, and what kind of style of tiki and how we pull it off. And through a number of different exercises, we finally came on this location, this name, and this style of tiki bar. And Brad is just ran with it since just shortly after we opened, with the team we opened it with. And
I've been down there, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, it really transforms you're out on the street and you walk down into the place. You literally feel like you're at some tiki hut somewhere on some island.
It's supposed to be one of those places where you definitely lose track of time, and hours go by and you didn't realize what time it was down there. And windows blocked out, basement windows blocked out is definitely intentional.
Right.
So.
I think one thing I really love is about tiki, and maybe just cocktails in general, is the just tremendous amount of history and customary actions that have happened just over the last 100 years that have created whole things. And the tiki cocktail is the one that has the most culture behind it, all created post-prohibition by a guy named Don the Beachcomber in Hollywood. And so it's funny, right at the height of this, I guess, right before it shut down, I was in Atlanta for a tiki convention called Inuele. And we're in the bar one night there, and it was literally a whole convention. I think they had about 1,000 people in attendance. It was just tiki. 3 days of just tiki. It's insanity. You don't see that for other specific types of cocktails.
Right. Another thing about La Colonia I don't think enough people know about is we have a tiki cocktail menu, which is traditionally a lot of citrus and a lot of fruit juice and a lot of rum for sure. Personally, I'm not as fond as of citrus in cocktails, just personal preference. Nothing against them, but sometimes the people come to me and they're like, yeah, the bar is great, but I just don't want to drink a bunch of that. And I'm like, you're missing out on one big major aspect of that bar, and that is the rum collection. Just this, if you like scotch, if you like single malts, if you like bourbons, and you like just drinking them with a little bit of water, an ice cube, go down there and get into the rums down there, because rum is, one, crazy cheap in comparison to what we know is pricey for single malts and bourbons. Incredibly cheap, fractions of the cost for 12-year rums and 8-year rums, and we have a 50-year rum down there, and the pricing is just phenomenal. However, though, the rum is great, and so over the years of doing this, I've just found this new passion of rums from all over the islands and different parts of the world that are wonderful. We have, outside of Chicago, probably one of the largest rum selections you can find. I think he's got 300 labels right now. Basically anything that we can get in the States.
It's 227.
Whew. Overshot that. Well,
not by much though.
Yeah, we're limited a little bit on shelf space, but mostly we're limited on what we can get in Nebraska. And I think we've actually been a part of bringing a lot of these types of rums to the state, just because we're someone who's creating demand for it.
What did you just add there?
A bit of bitters.
Oh.
Yeah, Brad, you want to run through the...
Sure. So one thing that he was talking about is focusing on the idea that we're a rum bar.
Yeah.
It's not just tiki cocktails, it's Mai Tais and Hurricanes, and the quintessential rum cocktail, in my opinion, the best cocktail of all time, is a daiquiri, which is pretty simple. Most of the time, we'll just do rum, sugar, and lime. I've got this little just kind of house daiquiri recipe that we've been putting out for about a year now that was inspired actually by a bar called Rum Club, which is in Portland. Shout out to my friend Micah, if you're listening, buddy, which is this phenomenal little rum bar in Portland, and this is one of their house daiquiris. So I've got some Plantation 5-year,
Yeah.
5-year aged rum, but it does spend a little finishing in some cognac barrels in France. This is part of Plantation. They're owned by Pierre Ferrand. And so this is all Barbados sourced, 5 years in Barbados and ex-bourbon barrels. And then about 6 months to, sometimes it's a blend, it could be 6 to a year, in ex-cognac barrels in France.
Nice. Where was I at? I was at Exarban Village, and I can't think of the place now, and I'm horrible with it. Spirit World?
Yeah.
And Alziri actually turned me on to this plantation. I've had it before. I think I had the 10-year. I got a 5-year and a 10-year.
They got a lot. They got a lot of different ones. I think I got even over here, 5 different ones.
Yeah. And I believe we've actually had Plantation on the show before. I think it was 2 years ago or something like that, or a year and a half ago.
Awesome.
He's
It's
a-
a fantastic product.
He's a great guy, and he runs a great program there. And it's been fun to watch because we had this conversation 5 years ago. Trying to staff some of the locations we had was just really, really difficult, and getting people that were really passionate on the level of detail you need to know about, first off, just making cocktails, just balanced cocktails, then let alone all the spirits, and go from rum now, and then before was whiskeys and bourbons, and just all of the information that you have to study up on. It was pretty difficult, but the city has changed dramatically just in the last 2 to 3 years on that front. So it's been really fun to watch.
Nice.
So my daiquiri here, we've got that Plantation 5-year, little fresh lime juice, some Demerara syrup, which is a heavy, simple syrup. For easy recognition, Demerara is made with, familiar with sugar in the raw, if you see that. I've got a little bar spoon of maraschino liqueur and a couple drops of Angostura bitters. The first cocktail I've made in 3 weeks.
That's not true. You make cocktails at home.
That's true. I was making some mezcal margaritas last night, and I was just smiling ear to ear because I was like, "Oh man, this feels so good." And people say, "What's your favorite cocktail to make?" It's the cocktail that you've made after not making a cocktail in 3 weeks.
You weren't kidding, living and breathing Tiki, sitting at home drinking a margarita. I love it.
Have you heard Brad's voicemail?
No, I don't call him very often.
It says if you are calling for something tiki related, then leave a message. Otherwise,
Don't worry about it.
Like I said, otherwise leave me alone.
Perfect. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
We'll do the Corona
Air cheers.
air cheers there.
gotcha.
Ooh, that is
That's very nice, Brad.
amazing.
Covers
Like,
all the bases, huh?
yeah, it covers all the bases. Almost tastes like you have tequila in there, but it's a rum.
A little maraschino in there.
Maraschino, maybe that's what it is. That's nice. That's fantastic.
That's creamy.
Creamy, lemon, lime. Well, you didn't put any lemons in it though. No, citrusy.
Gotta have that lime juice. No, it's funny. The one of the classic daiquiris people hear of is the Hemingway daiquiri, which Ernest Hemingway, a terrible alcoholic and guy that didn't like a lot of sugar, would have maraschino and some grapefruit juice. And for me, I don't like that cocktail very much, but a little bit of that maraschino in there just kind of balances out really well. the daiquiri is one of those cocktails that over the last 30 years, especially since the 80s, and the like chain restaurant frozen margarita machine, frozen daiquiri machine has just been, I don't want to say bastardized, but kind of. You know, people come into Laka and they're like, oh, I want a daiquiri. And I'm like, I will make you a real daiquiri, and you're going to love it, but I'm sorry it's not blended and there's no strawberries in it.
Right. And that's what people think of daiquiris as. So when you poured it out and I saw this, I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot different than I would think it would be.
The way it's supposed to be, baby.
That's right. The way it's supposed to be. Like I said, before we kind of split off and did that, I do want to kind of briefly touch on, how Corona's affected you guys, business-wise or whatnot, or your personal life, and then also hopefully one podcast has done well for you. So I'll start directly affecting me. I work down at the CHI, and unfortunately we just don't have any events anymore. So I've been furloughed until further notice, until we start getting more programs in there. And to see things cancel, like the College World Series and the swim trials now, it's killing me. Because, I was really hoping by Easter, this would be kind of lightening up and it'll be a lot better after that. And I think that it would, hopefully like June we're back up full running, not having huge meetings, but at least in a running sense, doing something. But on a positive note, it's allowed me to spend more time with my child since he's home, get work done around the house, do this podcast. Charlie came out to me and was like, hey, I know you've got an awesome show, been on a few times, and he's all like, hey, you should just go around town and do this. And I'm like, yeah, I should. I got nothing but time on my hands right now. So a little negative for me.
Sure. I guess I'll take the time just to talk about a program that we're working on in the old market. So I'm a member of the Omaha Business Association. We are putting together a food drive for any furloughed employees in the service industry, bars and restaurants. By next week, we should be able to make some announcements that we are going to, from the association, fund a number of groceries, and then also we're starting to receive promissories from food vendors for donations as well, and we're going to put together basically a grocery store for all the employees that have been laid off in the downtown Old Market area, in the restaurant and bar industry, to come through and stock up their pantries and kitchens. So
that's awesome. That's very admirable.
Stating it now just so that people can maybe plan a little bit ahead. Yep.
Well, I won't lie and say it hasn't been tough, especially for a lot of, I care about my employees a lot. Like the people that the people that work here, we put them together like a team. So it is a team. My first step in finding out if anybody fits here or not is to ask the whole rest of the team if that person fits. So I care a lot about these people. They're more than just people that work under me and work for us. They're my homies, so it hurts to have them not being able to work, due to no fault of their own. So that's the downside. Plus side, I think it's really great to see how most of the people in the community from even all over the country are coming together to try and do whatever they can to help each other. Really, most of the whining has been at a minimum, I feel.
Sure.
And people are really just trying to do their best to help each other out, and it hasn't evolved into the purge or anything like that yet. So, I think that as a country, we're doing, as a community, we're doing good. I think especially the service industry is really helping each other out. The USBG, the United States Bartenders Guild, has put together a lot of for out of work people. There's a few funds like that. The spirit companies kind of know who's been helping them out all these years, and so there's a lot of stuff like that. A lot of people giving a bunch of help to bartenders and bartending communities and service industry people. So that's the positive side of it,
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, and kind of like what Luke touched on too. For us at Laka, we were kind of full steam ahead. February was the best month in sales we've ever had since we've opened, which doesn't make any sense because it's February. And then we just recently did some new remodeling, had some new floors put in, and we were kind of all full steam ahead. My staff was running like a well-oiled machine. Everything was awesome. And then, we kind of came to a screeching halt to address this. And as much of a kind of a kick in the pants it was to shut down, we knew very well that it was the right move. And that's one thing that I really love about this company is we make right decisions, and we focus on each other, and we focus on how do we help the community, how do we deal with this. Good things that come out of it so far is like what Luke mentioned, just seeing the community come together. The first thing we ended up doing was the head chef at Via Farina, John Ray, he was just like, guys, call out every single perishable item you have in your bars. Let's put together sack lunches. Let's do something for the community. Awesome. And we ended up juicing some like 200 liters of lemonade to go with these meals at Laca. We had a lot of different people in Maven come down to volunteer to cut fruit and put together fruit cups and whatnot. And it was really great to like see that and have that moment, because like the people that work in this industry, they're not just working in this industry for a short period of time. I'm sure sometimes it starts off that way. Sometimes this is a fun thing to do in college, but the people that we have that work for Maven Social, we're career industry folks. Like, this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
This is where I want to be. And so when suddenly you can't be where you want, it's pretty heartbreaking. And so then just those moments of like cutting fruit again last week to juice, like just now shaking that cocktail for you, like those little weird moments that just like, holy cow, like just normalcy brightens my day so much. And being able to see that, being able to see the community come together in ways to provide for each other, or ways for community outreach, or just little things like today we're going to be doing a rum tasting via Zoom, video conferencing for our Kill Devil Explorers Club, our rum club, and just those little things where we can all have that moment in normalcy, but care about each other is paramount.
Nice. Well, gentlemen,
Can I do one last plug for like Bradley and I sort of put together in the last week and a half here?
Go for it.
Is that we can't, since we can't have people in our establishment, we still want to help people out though. So Bradley and I pretty much converted both the backstock of Berry and Rye and the backstock of La Colonia into a drive up. We'll take it to your car, or we'll deliver it to you. Alcohol delivery and curbside service. We also put together some cocktail kits and things like that. So if you go to, if you can contact either of us at the Berry and Rye, or info@lacolono.com. Mm-hmm. We also have a phone number, 402 Rum to Go, and the zero, the O in go is a 0. So 402 Rum to Go.
402-786-8640. Took me an hour to pick the phone number that way, and it was pretty fun, actually.
It's a liquor store.
Well, and it was great that it was available.
Right.
If you go to La Colonia right now, it's a liquor store. They got all the liquors out on all the tables. You can walk around, and it's all the whiskeys and bourbons from Berry, all the rums, and everything else from La Colonia. So.
Cool.
And we're there, like I said, we're there we'll deliver it to you, we'll bring it to your door, and we're there to help you put together if there's a cocktail you really wanted and you don't have it, we'll tell you what bottles you need to make it.
Yeah.
And I'll add, Via is still open. It's doing delivery. We have Hunter, who some of our chefs are taking it on to do their own delivery. So they've been running the vehicles and food around. And then Grubhub is our delivery service if you go that route, which is please go to Grubhub. Otherwise, they go to Hunter, which is great. That's 4 to 8 p.m. every day. And we're starting a new family meal specials program. So every week there'll be a new family meal they've been running. So
cool.
Other than that.
All right, guys, this has been an awesome episode of Drink Talk. I wish the best of luck for you guys, and I hope that this thing is over sooner than later, so that we can all get back to running business as usual. But for the show, my name is Britt.
Ethan Bonnelly.
Luke Edson.
Bradley Moore.